All right. So welcome. I don't know if the recording started before or did it just start now? I don't know. But here we are. So we will get started. I don't think you need anything really but a block, though we will be standing up, holding our leg out in the air, and you might want a strap for that. But you can also just hold your foot, your leg. Maybe the leg doesn't get quite straight. So, and let's start sitting in Sukhasana with the crossed legs. And using those arms alongside, lengthening up, getting space between the vertebrae, space in the hip sockets. Whatever little shifting and squinging you want to do here. And slowly releasing with the arms, letting the hands rest on the knees. Inhale and exhale, arriving a little more fully in your body in this moment. Feeling your breath. And letting your breath get a little longer, a little deeper. And with every breath, the rest of the day slips away, and you're just here now in your body with your breath. And then let's reach out wide through the collarbones, through the fingertips. Inhale and exhale, breathing those arms up. Inhale and exhale, breathing them down. Doing that again. And then we'll breathe the arms up once more. And then we'll twist to the right. Lift a little more, twisting right, suspend a moment, and then letting the arms float down, deepening into the twist. And then reaching around with that right arm into the half binding, rolling the shoulders down, widening the collarbones. Coming back to the center, changing the cross of the legs. And let's do that again. Up and down twice, then up for the third time, and we'll twist left. Inhale and exhale, both arms up, and both arms down. And again. And then once more up Lift a little more, twisting left, suspend a moment, and then floating those arms down, deepening into the twist. And then taking that left arm around to the half binding, roll the shoulders down wide across the collarbone. And coming back to the center. And then let's expand. Oh, let's come forward. Sorry. Coming forward. Breathing into the back of the body. And then coming up, unfurling that spine vertebrae by vertebrae back up on top of the sitting bones. Inhale and exhale. And then we will expand the legs out into Konasana, the angle pose. Giving a little lift up. Reaching out through the inner thighs, reaching out through the inner heels. And landing on those sitting bones. Inhaling and exhaling, being as grounded and lifted as you can. And then coming forward any amount, maybe pressing from behind with the arms. Inhaling into the center of the body, exhale, pouring out. And then we'll walk the hands over toward the right leg. Maybe your arms are inside the right leg, maybe on the right leg. Maybe you got one arm on the other side. But finding a good spot for you, lengthening over toward the right leg as you reach out through the left leg, out through the inner thigh, out through the heel. And then let's walk our hands over to the left leg. Breathing into this. Might not be exactly the same place as over toward the right leg. And your hands might not be in the same place. And then even as we're extending over toward the left, reaching out through that inner right thigh, out the inner right heel. And coming back to the center. And coming up, assembling your legs, give them a little squeeze in, and then we will come up in downward facing dog. And then when you're there, walking that dog or anything else you want to do, and then finishing up, finding the best downward facing dog of this moment. Nothing moving but the breath. And let's lift our right leg up. Reaching down through the left heel, pulling up through the right. Bending the right knee, dog at the high fire hydrant, holding your left leg nice and steady. And then we will set the right leg down next to the left, back to downward facing dog. Take a breath or two here, maybe coming down into child's pose for a moment if you need to. And then we'll do that on the left. And lifting the left leg up, reaching down through the heel, reaching out through the left heel. And bending that left leg, dog at the high fire hydrant. Nice strong arms, nice strong and steady right leg. And then setting that left foot back down in downward facing dog. Coming down, sitting back in child's pose. Nice long pull back, decompressing the wrists. And then sliding forward onto your stomach, into the Sphinx, elbows under the shoulders, reaching out through the lower arms. Pulling yourself forward, lengthening the front of the body out into the floor. And reaching even longer through the toes, let's bend the right leg. Lifting both up to the ceiling and squeezing the upper back and heel toward each other so your right thigh might not literally lift off the floor. Just lightening it up. And extending that right leg out, reaching long through the left leg and bending the left knee. Squeezing in and lifting up. And then extending the left leg out. Take another pull long, evening out your two sides, and then we will peel ourselves back up to downward facing dog. And you could go through a vinyasa here or not. So let's see, I'll demonstrate or not today.
And then we're all in downward facing dog. And we'll look between the hands to jump or step forward. Into the concave, back halfway up. Folding over. Couple deep breaths here in the forward bend. And then coming up to standing, big front body yawn. Pressing the arms down long through the top of the head. All right, so I'm going to be the mirror here as I turn and face you. And let's take a side bend. Right arm coming up. Lifting up to the ceiling, a little press out of the outer right hip to the right while you pull the arm to the left. I'm not the mirror here. I just realized I have my real right arm. Well, it doesn't matter. We're doing each side. And a big lift up through the top of the head. Same thing, other side, might or might not be the left arm. Pressing the hip in one direction as we pull the arm in the other direction. And a big lift up. And standing here at the front of the mat. Both arms coming up, front body yawn. And diving over. Concave back halfway up. Really doing this like a floating cobra, working those upper back muscles. Pouring over. Stepping back with the left leg into the lunge, so we have our right leg in front, and bringing that left knee down, and Jayasana, the kneeling lunge. And a circle around with the arms, carrying those arms around with the breath, and back up overhead. Namaste in front. And then stepping forward. Into the concave back, halfway up, suspend there a moment. And then pouring over. Let's step back with the left leg again. Same leg stepping back, same right lunge, coming up in the high lunge. Breathing here, just 3 more breaths. And then into the elephant rider, a little boing up and over, landing in the elephant rider, turning the feet out at 45. Whoops, don't push too hard back with the arms. Turning the feet out, pressing back with the arms against those inner thighs, big stretch. And then maybe making the feet a little extra wide. Mine are there already with my heels a little wider than my knees. And we're going to slide to the left. So I'm not being the mirror here. Sliding to the left, the back of the mat, straightening that right leg. The foot might come a little off the floor. That's all right. And then sliding back to the center, turning to the right lunge, and we will continue onwards, stepping back to the plank, and through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. lifting the right leg up. So right leg goes up. And dog at the high fire hydrant. Through to the lunge. And coming up in the warrior number 2, the lateral lunge. Making sure that right knee is tracking over the foot. Reaching wide. And dancing warrior, bringing that right arm up and away. Anchoring the right sitting bone down, reaching forward through the right inner thigh, out the right inner knee. And then into the triangle GentleVinyasa, hinging over. And then maybe taking that left arm in the half binding, pressing it away, and wrapping that arm around. Roll the shoulder out, press the elbow toward the back of the mat. If you're feeling particularly ambitious today, maybe bringing the right arm in front of your right leg to do the full binding there. And if you're bound up there, releasing the arms, reaching forward with the left arm over the ear, a little pull back with that left outer hip, and then turning to face the lunge and stepping forward. Into the concave back, halfway up, folding over. Deep breath. Coming up to standing, big front body yawn. Pressing those arms down, long through the top of the head. All right, so let's take those side bends again. So I'm just going to stay right here. Obviously, turning and facing you and saying on the mirror did not work out so well. All right, let's bring our left arm up and to the side bend, pressing that left outer hip away. And a big lift through the top of the head, coming up. Right arm, other side, up and over. And a big lift up through the top of the head, both arms coming up. And diving over. Concave back, halfway up. Really work that, lengthen a little more forward through the collarbones. And then folding over. Stepping back with the right leg, so we're in the left lunge. And bringing the right knee down. Coming up in a Jayasana, kneeling lunge. And circling those arms all the way around and back up overhead. And Namaste in front. Stepping forward into the concave back. So you can always use the bend of the knees in that concave back to lengthen and lift a little more. And then pouring over. Stepping back with the right leg again into our left lunge, and this time coming up in the high lunge. Nice big round breaths. Some speedy steadiness. And then up and over into the elephant rider. And maybe making those feet a little extra wide makes a little more room to do that sliding. And now we're sliding toward the right leg, the back of the mat, straightening the left leg. And back through the center for a moment, and then turn into the left lunge. And we will continue back to downward facing dog. Step into the plank, vinyasa, downward facing dog. And then let's lift the left leg up. And dog at the high fire hydrant. And through to the lunge. Coming up in the warrior number 2 on the left. Making sure that knee tracks over the foot. Breathing here. And dancing warrior, bringing that left arm up and away. And into the triangle trikonasana, hinging over. And maybe the right arm into the half binding, pressing that away and around. Roll the shoulder out, reach the right elbow toward the back of the mat. And if you're feeling ambitious today, maybe the full binding left arm comes in front of the leg and maybe finds that right arm there. And then if you've got the binding, releasing the arms. We'll reach that right arm over the ear, pulling back with the right hip, stretching long on our right side for a moment. And then pulling down to the lunge and stepping forward. Into the concave back, halfway up. Folding over. Coming up to standing, big front body yawn. And around to Namaste in front. All right, and then we'll do the tree pose into Padangusthasana number 2. So this is where you might want the belt. So Padangusthasana number 2 is the holding the leg out on the diagonal side, standing up. So maybe coming over to a wall or other support. And then here we are, Tadasana Samasthiti. And then we'll take our tree pose to start, bringing the right leg up. And maybe for today, the tree pose is good enough. All right, and then Padangusthasana number 2. You can get hold of your big toe there, or maybe grabbing your strap and putting it around the foot. So you can also just extend out as far as you can. Maybe that leg will get to straight, kind of like a standing up triangle. And then another option here, which I won't be doing, is you could take that left arm and put it into the half binding. Oh, maybe, let's see. And then bringing that right leg in and down, balancing on 2 feet. And we'll go to the left. And that's Samasthiti steadiness, and then into the tree pose. Left leg up. And breathing here. And then Padangusthasana number 2. If you're getting hold of the big toe, I should have said you can put your hand anywhere on that right leg or under the thigh. Maybe you got a strap for that left foot, extending it out any amount. And as you extend out through the left foot, press down through the right foot like you're extending into the floor as well. And here we are, kind of a standing up triangle. And one could take that right arm into the half binding here. So if your balance is pretty steady, it almost might feel like it's easier to balance with that right arm in the half binding, kind of wraps you into your center. And then we'll bring left leg down. Inhale and exhale. And here we are at the front of the mats. And let's take a big lift up. And diving over. Concave back halfway up. Lift a little more. And folding over. Let's step back with our left leg. And coming up in the warrior number 1.
And then taking a twist to the right, arms parallel to the floor, and then continuing into the half binding with your right arm. And then facing the front again as you lift your left arm back up. So we have a half binding warrior number one. And then release the right arm, bringing it up to meet the left. Namaste in front. And into the floor, stepping forward. Into the concave back, halfway up. Folding over. And then we'll step back with the right leg to do the left side. Stepping back with the right leg. Coming up in the warrior one on the left. And then we'll twist to the left. And reaching around with that left arm into the half binding. And we turn to face the front again as we bring the right arm up into a half bound warrior. And bringing that left arm up to meet the right. And namaste in the front. And into the floor. Stepping forward. Into the concave back, halfway up. Lengthen and lift a little more. And then pouring over. And then we'll continue back to downward facing dog through the vinyasa or not. And then there we all are, downward facing dog. And let's lengthen forward to that plank, long and flat against the ceiling. And we'll bend the knees into the beast, hovering those shins above the floor. So hinging back in the hips like we're about to go on all fours. And there's both a feeling of those sitting bones doing a little pull back. At the same time, there's a trying to pull the hands and knees toward the center line. And then with gratitude, setting those knees down. Taking a couple cats and cows. And then we're going to make our way onto the floor, onto our stomach. So you can just come down or maybe do Asta Namaste, knees, chest, chin. And then once we're down, we'll all assemble ourselves in the cobra position here. If you're up, lengthening down, elbows pulling in and back, long through the top of the head. And then as we lift up in the upper body, let's lift the right leg up. Lengthening out, lifting the right leg up, hold and breathe. 4, 3, 2, 1. Lengthening down. And we'll lift the left leg up. And hold and breathe. And 4, 3, 2, 1. Calm down. Lifting the right leg again. And then bending the knee. And then sort of like we're going to scorpion tail, but we're going to roll ourselves up to sitting. Picking that right leg up, rolling yourself around. We turn to face the back of the mat. And then you can get recentered on your mat there. And bring that right leg down into the half dragonfly or the Janu Shirsasana position. However you want to look at it. Half dragonfly, here's our front between our hips. Janu Shirsasana, the yoga pose, here's our front, the left leg. And so wherever your front is, we're going to face the left leg and come forward over our left leg. Inhale and exhale, reaching out through that right inner thigh. And up. And then we'll just bring that right leg around. And I know we're facing the back of the mat. We'll just come up and over and around and expand out into downward facing dog. Or if you want to, you can turn back to the front of the mat if that works better for visuals for you. And we're all in downward facing dog. Taking a couple breaths there. And then we're going to make our way back onto our stomach again, maybe through that Asta Namaskar if you're coming along with me as we come to the plank, setting the knees down on all fours. Asta Namaskar, knees, chest, chin, and into the small cobra. And lengthening down, making any adjustment you need for the hands and the arms. So we'll lift the left leg, inhale and exhale, holding that. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lengthening down, lifting the right leg. And lengthening down, and then lifting the left leg, and bending the left knee, and then lifting up and over, and letting it roll you up to sitting facing the front of the mat, also known as the other end. And then getting yourself organized there into Janu Shirsasana or half dragonfly position. All right, and then we will face our right leg, the straight leg, coming forward over the right leg in Janu Shirsasana. And coming up. And then we'll just take that left leg forward to meet the right in Dandasana. All right, and let's do Purvottasana front plank, or could be the reverse tabletop with the knees bent, or you could come down to the floor and do the bridge pose. All right, meanwhile, here in Purvottasana, fingertips are facing forward, diagonal, or side. I'm going to go for the compromised position of diagonal. All right, nice strong reach through the legs. And then trying to lift first from that pelvis, a little tuck under, lifting from the back of the legs. Lifting from the back itself and the gluteus maximus, and then a push with the arms, widening the collarbones, working those shoulders like the interlocked fingers behind where we lift the chest to lift the chin. And calming down. And if your wrists are up for it, we will come up once more. And then here we go. Lifting up, trying to use lots of strength from the legs, from the back, from the gluteus maximus, so it's not just a big arm push. And calming down. Of course, it is a big arm push. Feeling those hands up off the floor. A couple circles with the wrists or squeezing them. It's just a little squeeze is good for releasing the wrist joints. And then we'll bring those legs back into feet back into Baddha Konasana. And coming forward. Being patient, we're asking our body now to go in the opposite direction it was just going. Letting the back muscles start to ease out and soften. And coming up, bringing those legs in. Let's make our way down to the floor. Arriving here gratefully on the floor. Inhale and exhale. And then let's reach those arms out wide to the side, palms up, and we'll drop the knees over to the left, turning the head to the right. Inhale and exhale, letting go. And then coming through the center, dropping the knees over to the right, turning the head to the left. Inhale and exhale, surrendering to gravity. And coming back to the center, sliding those legs out and into Shavasana. Inhale and exhale, melting into the floor. And breathing back into your body, moving the fingers and toes, getting the circulation going, maybe circling the wrists and ankles, stretching the arms up overhead. Bending the knees to gently make your way up to sitting. And sitting in any comfortable position with a long and spacious. Taking a few more moments, sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Anne. Have a good day.
Oh, there's the mouse. All right.